Somewhere, in another timeline, humanity reached the stars 1,000 years early, because one library never burned. This is the story of the greatest library the ancient world ever built, and the fire that erased it.
Founded under Ptolemy II, it may have held up to 700,000 scrolls, an attempt to collect all human knowledge in one
Drew the greatest minds of the era, Euclid, Eratosthenes, hero of Alexandria. Then it burned. Historians still argue how much of our future was lost with
Eratosthenes calculated the size of the Earth using shadows and geometry, accurate to within a few percent, with no modern tools at all.
Hero of Alexandria built a steam-powered device 1,700 years before the steam engine. It was treated as a toy. The conditions for an industrial revolution didn't exist yet.
Alexandria also held advanced medical research, some of it, scholars believe, rivaling what Europe wouldn't rediscover for another 1,000 years.
Most of it existed only as scrolls. No copies, no backup. If they burned, the knowledge simply ceased to exist. So here's the real question. If all of that had kept building on itself for another 1,000 years, what would the world look like today?
Knowledge compounds, and Alexandria was already sitting on centuries of head start. Let's build out that timeline.
Some historians speculate an unbroken flow of knowledge could have produced something like the printing press centuries before Gutenberg.
Mass-produced texts mean literacy spreads beyond elites, to merchants, engineers, everyday people. And more people who can read means more people who can build. Researchers argue the ancient world already had the raw materials and mathematics for an early steam-powered economy. What it lacked was uninterrupted institutional
Give this
support.
200 years, then 500. This is where it compounds into something almost unbelievable.
In this timeline, the Renaissance doesn't happen in the 1400s. It happens 1,000 years earlier, because the fall never interrupted the momentum.
But here's the thing. Historians actually disagree about how much of this really happened. Let's get into that.
The famous version blames Julius Caesar. In 48 BC, his forces set fire to enemy ships, and it may have spread into the city. But many historians argue this has been dramatized. Some ancient writers describe scholars still working there decades later.
Most modern historians now believe the real end was a slow decline. Funding cuts, instability, and religious conflict, culminating around 391 AD.
And Alexandria wasn't the only major library. Through Constantinople, and later through Islamic scholars in Baghdad who translated and preserved
The honest answer, its destruction was real, but partial. Knowledge rarely dies in one place. It survives through networks.
One fire, really, one long decline, and an entire possible future quietly erased along the way.
We'll never know exactly how differently history might have unfolded. That uncertainty is part of what makes this question so fascinating.
If you could send one invention back in time to reach the ancient world early, what would it be? Let me know below. New videos every week.